What the hell? It's a goddamn cougar in the car.
No, there's a cougar in the car. I put it in there.
Welcome to the podcast, guys. As you can see, we have the dogs in the background. June, be quiet. I hear you from here. And I am your host, Dave Roy. We have Matthew Bartholomew coming in from Seattle or Michigan, Indiana, wherever you live at, buddy. And then we have the Hawaiian CJ Marshall, sponsored by a margarita truly. You know, I was thinking about what an opportunity for a first episode, and there's nothing better than our past experiences.
Second episode.
It's our first episode, guys, unfortunately.
Who did that?
The reality is Matthew, your internet was completely in a different universe, and there was nothing that you could do to fix. You were like, Dave, you didn't send it to me. It was unfixable, buddy.
It was our pilot episode. It almost didn't get picked up, but here we are for pilot.
First off, I wasn't even talking about that episode. I was talking about the one me, you, and Eli did. But okay, yes, my Eli.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, that was a practice episode. This is our first episode. Now I want to go back to an origin. I want to go back to an origin where we all started, and that is sales. Today will be a sales episode. I am your judge, David Roy. We have Matthew versus CJ. If y'all want to give nicknames for each other, that's fine. I know in the past, Skip Bayless, whatever it is. Now, here is the way today is going to work. Okay, you have no idea. I'm going to have to pick winner or loser, okay? And I'm going to give you a point. And you have to sell me or sell Matt, right? When you have to go against each other on who is better or who would you rather have. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the topic. So you're ready to dive in? Now, each person has no more than 2 minutes to sell. Okay. Once that's done, it's over. I want to talk about today's episode sponsored by Cutco. This is our Cutco pan. Today, we're going to be stirring the pot a lot today. And I want to thank Cutco for allowing us to have the tools to run this episode here. All right, so y'all ready? Cool.
Sponsored by Sweetwater.
Sponsored by Sweetwater. Now, here's the plan. So the first question is, who is the better team, Kansas City or Philadelphia? CJ, ready, set, go.
So right now, I mean, I think it's the Eagles. I mean, obviously they just played. I mean, obviously I have the argument. I mean, they played head to head at Kansas City and Philadelphia, especially in the second half. I don't know if you guys saw this stat, but Kansas City is the worst second half team in the entire NFL. They have the least points per game scored. I think it was something like 5.9. Y'all can fact check me on that. Could be wrong about that number, but
that point is accurate.
It is accurate. Noted. Okay. So that was just pretty wild to see. Kansas City, I'm going to be honest, I missed. I think I watched maybe the first few minutes of the third quarter before I ended up dozing off. Not necessarily because the game wasn't exciting, but it felt pretty much like Kansas City had this well in hand. The Eagles couldn't get any offensive rhythm going. They couldn't get A.J. Brown the ball, and that honestly continued to persist as I looked at the stats. Even going into the second half, but they found a way to get Devontae Smith the ball. DeAndre Swift was pretty consistent even throughout the game. I mean, Kansas City doesn't, very specifically, Pat Mahomes doesn't have help. It's pretty obvious that he just doesn't have the offensive tools. Travis Kelce obviously is there. I really do love Isaiah Pacheco. But I mean, he's not Alvin Kamara. He's not that type of back. And, look, Isaiah's on my fantasy team, but my dynasty team. But Kansas City doesn't have the tools. I'm really unsure as to where.
Alrighty. All right. All right. You get 1 point for your fact. Matthew, who's better, the Eagles or Kansas City?
Well, I mean, I agree. So should I still go on? I think it's the Eagles.
You think it's the Eagles? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, so who's the better team, Miami or the Buffalo Bills?
I'm gonna go Miami.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
to keep it quick, I don't believe in what the Bills have built this year. They don't have the weapons around Josh Allen. They just fired their offensive coordinator. They seem a little bit dysfunctional, while it kind of seems the complete opposite for the Dolphins. Now, their defense has never really lived up to snipe, but that offense has time and time again been called maybe the second coming of like the greatest show on turf, maybe like the great value version. I don't know if they're that type of level. To be fair, I was not alive during that time. But yeah, no, the Miami Dolphins, I believe in Tua. He stayed healthy. Tyreek Hill is making a name for himself as one of the greatest wide receivers of all time.
Debate.
And Jalen Waddle is elite. They have Mike McDaniel, who seems like a offensive mastermind right now. And yeah, I'm just Josh Allen, who me and you both love, Dave, has not really lived up to the hype. I believe he's on his way to kind of be like a 30 for 30 Jamish right now. Like I think he has like 15 interceptions or something like that. I don't remember the exact stats, so don't quote me on that. But
Ring, ring. You are quoted, and that is false. Go ahead.
What is it then?
He does not have 15 interceptions. He has
Well, yeah, if you would let me finish, I was just about to say that he does have he is leading the league in turnovers for a quarterback.
CJ, anything that you would like to discuss, or do you agree with Matthew with all the things that he said, from Tyreek Hill being one of the greatest wide receivers all time, Josh Allen being the next Jameis Winston? Anything you want to kind of throw in there?
Hold on, you just threw that.
Or do we feel
you're being
like,
a terrible host right now? You're taking things out of context.
Or do we feel?
Taking things out of context.
Like Matthew's data was accurate? Christopher Marshall.
Yeah, I know the intention is to stir the pot and to get us to disagree, which typically isn't hard for me and Matt to do. But I'm gonna be honest, I really agree with a lot of what he said. I actually love the fact that he was bold and said that Tyreek is putting his name out there as one of the best to ever do it. And we walked into the season really feeling like Tyreek could do something that we've never seen before with the 2,000-yard plus season, and that's still very much on the table. I know I've had my hot takes with Mike McDaniel and just like kind of like my personal feelings towards him. But
you're quoted saying he could not recruit me.
That's right. That is a quote. And I'm not sure he could, but that doesn't take away from his coaching ability. And I did distinctly say that. And I'm really impressed with the Dolphins. I do I want to on the table or on the record. That's what I was looking for. That I think that the Miami Dolphins are better than the Bills.
All right. So I am going to go ahead and give this one to Matt. Let's give Matt a little bit of 1, 2, 3. There we go. So Matt is 1, CJ 0. All right. Who is better? CJ? Well, you know what, Matt, we'll let you go first. Steelers long term or the Browns?
I'm gonna go with the Steelers. Winning tradition, Mike Tomlin. Kenny Pickett really hasn't like put up a lot of touchdowns. He hasn't been really an offensive juggernaut, but despite that, the Steelers are still winning games. They had their little off season, I guess you could call it, last year. I don't remember what their record was, but again, I can't remember the exact stat, but the Steelers in like one score game is very great this year. I'm pretty sure it's a positive stat, which that goes into coaching. Nothing against Kevin Stefanski, but if I'm going Stefanski or Tomlin, I'm leaning it to Tomlin. So, and then also the Browns, Deshaun Watson looks like it might go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. So that's going to hurt them. They lost out on, I think I saw it the other day, Dameon Pierce, Tank Dell, CJ Stroud are like the main big three is what the Texans turned that into. So
it's impressive. It's impressive. By the way, Kenny Pickett, 2 touchdowns last 7 games.
Yeah, thank you. I could not remember the stat off the top of my head, but I remember seeing that Tommy DeVito has more two touchdown games than Kenny Pickett does in his entire
Italian
career.
stallion.
So, yeah.
Christopher,
So
anything you would like
I think
to?
that's no, I was just going to finish by saying I think that's all Mike Tomlin right there, and yeah, it's greatness, and he's going to rise to be great.
Do they draft another quarterback?
Probably. I think it's in the ballpark, especially with this like quarterback class looking as good as it could be. If one falls to them, I don't think you can pass that up. Maybe not the first because they do have other needs. So, but like in the second though, if someone falls to them they like, I could totally see that happening.
Christopher?
So you want me to go to the original question?
Do you agree or do you disagree?
Those Browns. This is an interesting question for me. I think that the answer is the Steelers as long as Mike Tomlin's there. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. I think that his resume and his results speak for itself. But Mike's been there a long time, and I don't know how old Mike is, but I mean, the Steelers obviously have had a little turmoil like inside, like George Pickens and his fit. Even Deontay Johnson had a little fit this week. And but the testament of a great leader is making the tough decisions, and they fired Matt Canada. And it's more than what the Saints can say, and not being willing to make the hard call. Even Brian Kelly not being made, like obviously my fandom is coming out right now, but not being able to make the tough decision and cut the cord. And Mike Tomlin, that's what makes him such an elite coach. However, what Kevin Stefanski is doing despite that move with Deshaun Watson, winning anyway, building one of the most elite defenses in the NFL, I'm so impressed with Kevin Stefanski, and it's going to be an uphill battle for him to overcome that type of deal, guaranteed money.
And Nick Chubb being out, I mean, it's impressive.
It's really impressive, and he has an uphill battle long-term, because that was the real question is what does it look like long-term? That's an uphill battle he has to fight because we don't know what Nick Chubb's injury long-term looks like, and we don't know how they're going to deal with the cap long-term. But Kevin Stefanski is so impressive, and he deserves credit. But I think the answer is the Steelers.
Got it.
As long as Mike Tomlin's there.
All right, CJ, this is a big one, right? We have CJ Stroud, we have T-Law. Who's better this year when it's all said and done? Is it going to be the Houston Texans or the Jacksonville Jaguars? Start us off, Christopher.
So the question is at
this
the end
year, who's the better team? At the end of the day, who's the better team this year?
I mean, the Texans are climbing and the Jags are fading right now. So this is a what have you done for me lately business, and every week CJ Stroud gets better. Tank Dell looks more and more like he's top 10 every week. Noah Brown went from the Cowboys being their wide receiver 4 to, I mean, I know he's hurt last week and probably not playing this week, but I mean, that dude looks like a legit 2 in this system. Devin Singletary couldn't do anything with the Bills and looks like he's a true RB1.
I mean, him and Zach Moss, was it the Bills the problem?
I don't know. Like, I mean, that you bring back, why did Dorsey get fired? Shout out to Joe Brady for taking over, by the way. But
always need that LSU plug when you can get
LSU plug real quick.
So you got Houston this year. So Houston wins the AFC South, or they go further in the playoffs.
Yes, both. I think both are there.
Okay. Quick debate: who would you rather have, CJ or T-Law?
Dang.
Who would you rather have?
Man, I think CJ's got more of that if factor, and we talked about that last time, so I'm going to double down on that. And I disrespect to him, but like I'm so impressed with CJ Stroud.
Okay, perfect, love it. CJ doubling down. Matt, any comments, concerns, thoughts, disagreements?
I mean, as much as I love to disagree with CJ, and I am going to disagree with CJ and say Trevor Lawrence, but it is hard to do it this time. This is one of the few times it is actually hard because I love CJ Stroud as well. He's He looks very reminiscent of what we saw out of Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, all those immediate game changers that walked in and were just like what you called it, Dave, a culture changer, you know? So he does look like that, but I'm gonna lean more on Trevor and someone who is revered as one of the best quarterback prospects that we had seen since Andrew Luck. And yeah, he's kind of had some of those bonehead mistakes, but I'm gonna lean that more on just it's hard because I sound like
he's having a tough year.
He's having a tough
Calvin
year.
Ridley
Like I'm making
completely
mistakes for him.
Calvin Ridley is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, so that's what I want to say. You really don't have that true alpha yet. So and then Doug Peterson hasn't
But
had.
Calvin Ridley is the true alpha, but he's not the alpha.
That's what I'm saying. That is not a true alpha. If you're not the alpha, I mean, you can't be an alpha if you're not an alpha, and he's not anymore. So it's hard to say. And like I said, I love CJ Stroud, and it's hard to talk about Trevor when they aren't looking great right now. But that team does have a lot of issues. That defense has been kind of spotty at times, but they've also had times where they look great. And so Doug Peterson needs to get them under control. They're still really young. So I'm going to go Trevor long term. I'm going to believe that he can get it all together. And
who has a deeper run in the playoffs? Houston, Jacksonville.
I believe Jacksonville wins the division.
And do they go longer? Right?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
yes.
perfect. Okay,
Can I interject real quick?
All right, so CJ gets that point. Go ahead, CJ.
So I know Calvin over the last few weeks has been bad, but he had 2 touchdowns and like 80 yards this past week. So, I mean, it looked pretty decent. So I want to throw that out there on the Jaguar side, but I don't know if y'all saw CJ Stroud got on a podcast with Tom Brady. Did y'all see that?
I did not.
And it just became so evident, like he wants it more than most. Like he was asking Tom Brady questions like, how do you ignore like when you're doing well and you're hearing all the chirping from the outside? How do you like put it aside so that way you can just focus on being the best? Like how do you focus on winning? How do you focus on being different? And like Tom Brady gave him like real like Tom Brady level feedback on like how to ignore the stuff and blah blah blah. And it just became so evident to me in that moment that CJ wants it more than most. Like I'm talking like Drew Brees, like I'm talking like Tom Brady, like that it factor.
The
That's
AFC
like,
is stacked, man. All right.
I mean, I can't really disagree. I know you gave the point to CJ, but like it's hard to disagree.
Well,
He's had those statement
we're
wins too.
Right now we're tied. So here's the deal breaker here, and who's ever going to win this series? Okay, who would you rather coach for you? Okay. Dennis Allen or Brandon Staley? Matt, go first. Who would you rather coach your franchise? Brandon Staley or Dennis Allen? All right, tell me, let's go.
I'm gonna go Brandon Staley because you know what? Biggest reason, fuck Dennis Allen. Second reason, at least Brandon Staley has a winning record as a head coach.
Okay.
Third reason, I don't know. Fuck Dennis Allen. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay. So Matt, that was some emotional responses when the game was on the line. I don't know if you did enough to win this. I don't really care.
I don't really care. I mean, that was a terrible choice. I thought you were about to come in with something good, and then you set me up with that.
Listen, hey, I need to know, CJ, this should be a layup for you, but who would you rather be your head coach? Dennis Allen or Brandon Staley?
I don't know enough about Brandon Staley as like I know his resume, I know his stats, and I know the results that I've seen, like games that he's let slip through and blah 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 and all that. But like as a Saints
he has
fan,
the most expensive defense in the NFL, and they're the worst defense in the NFL, and he's a defensive coach.
Yeah.
At least he has a winning overall record in his head coaching career.
Okay, got it. I
mean,
mean,
Dennis Allen, like watching him coach, like I don't know if y'all remember me like going on my rampage a few weeks ago of like after one of the few wins that we've had this season, I know we're 5-5, but of the few wins that we've had, he had like his best after game, like coaching talk. And it was like the best talk he'd ever given. And it was the most mediocre talk I've ever seen. And I'm like, if it's his ceiling, I can't do this. Like it just like, he's not that guy. I hate the way he walks. I hate the way he talks. I hate the way he coaches. I hate the way he leads. But Brandon Staley been messing a lot of stuff up. And
Which one gets fired first?
I think
it's Brandon Staley.
I think it is Brandon Staley, and I know that we're emotional because we're fans, and I get that, but I think that that's a bigger market, right? And they're spending a lot of money out there, and they're not winning.
Who doesn't want to coach Justin? You know who? Because Sean would have went there. Sean would have went there if that spot was available.
And that's on ownership, by the way. They didn't want to pay him because they're cheap, and it's freaking California.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to pay him, and that's on them. Sean's finding ways to win. I know we were all like trolling Sean, but they're 5-5 now.
Yeah, they are. They are
4 in a row.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give CJ the upper hand here. CJ, you win this series 2-1. So great job, Christopher. Okay, so this next series I am the judge of, obviously, and it's double credit. Okay, it is double credit. Now, here's how we're going to do this. There was some debates. There were some debates in our group text thread on who are the top 5 wide receivers. And Amon St. Brown's name kept coming in. Now, as we know, Matt's a fanboy of Amon. CJ is a historian. He said that Amon was, great last year. Now, whoever has the best top 5, and you have to sell me on your top 5 wide receivers. Top 5 is elite. Does Amon make it? Does he not make it? Whoever can sell me the most on who their top 5 wide receivers are gets double credit. Ready, set, go. I'm going to give you a few seconds to go ahead and think about this. Who are top 5 wide receivers?
Didn't we all do this in the group text too? I'm trying to find what I already
Is it
said.
Jamar Chase? Is it Amon St. Brown? Is it Devontae Adams? Is it Cooper Kupp? Was it Julio Jones? He had a great night. They kept throwing him on the swing passes yesterday.
Julio Jones.
Is it Brandon Ayuk?
They need to put Julio at tight end.
He would dominate.
Just have him play like the role Kyle Pitts should be playing.
Yeah.
Falcons.
I'm excited to hear your top 5s. And I just asked that they're in order, please. This is going to count. And if you want to appeal to my judgment, be intentional.
Oh, we're talking just right now, right?
Right now, top 5. Who's the top 5 wide receivers? Who's the top 5 wide receivers in the game? Mostly everybody's healthy, right? Cooper's back healthy, etc.
So are we throwing the elephant in the room? Justin Jefferson obviously missed.
No. So Justin Jefferson can count in your top 5.
Okay.
All right. So Matt, do you have yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So Matt, start us off, buddy. Who is in your top 5?
All right. So kind of hinted to it a little bit earlier. So with the Justin Jefferson injury, I'm going to go Tyreek Hill number 1, and I'll keep this quick. So Tyreek Hill, obviously, there's nothing much I need to say about Tyreek Hill. Dude is making an impact for a Hall of Fame type of career. Legendary, most electrifying player probably we've ever seen at his position, or at least one of them. So I saw that face, Dave. It's definitely, that's a conversation to be had at another time. Justin Jefferson's number 2. He missed most of this year, which is why I brought that up. But to me, when you're, especially if you're talking like when he comes back, maybe for a playoff run, I think he's going to come back and he's going to hit the ground running with Josh Dobbs, who looks like the second coming of Ryan Fitzmagic. And then also, I just, when you want to factor in long term, we've all seen it. He looks like Marvin Harrison. You know, he's one of the best route runners in the NFL, probably one of the best route runners we've ever seen. Jamar Chase is a freak of nature. He's literally always open. I think I saw a stat on SportsCenter the other day where he is literally open 54% of the time. And it's like I think it was like 43 or something like that, if my math is correct on how that works out, that he's not. And then even when he's not open, he's still open. So he's literally, he's the definition of 50-50, and there's no such thing as 50-50 with him. It's all Jamar Chase. Sun God, number 5. I said it the other day. He's like
wait. So we have Tyree Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Tyreek Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
At number 4.
4. Yes. And this one is where we might have a little bit of a debate, because I don't really see how we could debate. Maybe, I guess, with Tyreek, number 1. But for the first 3, those 3 should be a given. Amon-Ra, I'm going to give it to him because, like I said the other day, he's very MT-like to me in like his prime, where you can throw your entire offense on top of him and it doesn't matter. Your offense is going to run efficiently. It's going to be effective. You're going to move the ball up and down the field and you're going to score. So he's not like a productive or maybe an explosive touchdown scorer himself, but he is literally a target hog. And when you look up the definition target hog, his name is right next to it. And then CeeDee Lamb, honestly, you can make an argument for CeeDee Lamb top 2 right now, and I would be open to that conversation. Like, I really would. He's having probably one of the best years out of everybody outside of Tyreek Hill. So he really is. And I have him really at number 5, just because I think that Dallas Cowboys team as a whole is very good. So I'm kind of deducting him, I guess, for that, because the other teams aren't as good, in my opinion, which can show you how highly I think of the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately, this year. That defense looks really good. Yeah. But so, yeah, that's my top 5.
So notable out, Devontae Adams out, right? Obviously, Cooper Kupp out. Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, CJ, top 5.
So our top 3 is the same from 1 to 3. Tyreek's number 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, top 3 is the same.
Disagree with me on Tyreek as number 1.
No, Tyreek, I said it earlier. Like, Tyreek's doing stuff like, you know, and obviously, like, you want to talk about my LSU fandom, shout out to Justin Jefferson being 2 and Jamar Chase being 3. But genuinely, like, what Tyreek's doing is so special. And, I'm excited to be a part of it, to watch it happen. It's really cool.
Better season this year, Tyreek Hill or Megatron when he went for 2,000?
Well, we're about to find out. We haven't finished the season.
It's very they put 3 people on Megatron and they couldn't guard him.
Dude, man, what a cool season. Like, to see them, like, do y'all remember the play the Cowboys had, speaking of the Cowboys, where they lined up like it was special teams, like Calvin was a gunner, and they had double pressed him and he scored a touchdown on that play? Wasn't that nuts?
I mean, he was catching Hail Marys in the game. It was pretty impressive. Who's your number 4 and 5?
So I think Dave will like my 4, and that's Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams obviously has had a tough go of it. Like, I think he made a tough call choosing to go to the Raiders, and he really wanted to work with Derek Carr, and then, 1 year in, didn't work out. And, between Jimmy Garoppolo, now Aiden O'Connell, and, Aiden O'Connell hasn't been that bad. And he found ways to get Devontae the ball, even though he was throwing picks, and they had a tough go of it last week. But Devontae Adams is still like that. He's just not there was once upon a time he was one. He's not the one. But I think he is still top 5. And my 5 is Amon-Ra, who is your 4. And I am really big on Amon-Ra. And I literally, I posted in a text message like 1 or 2 days ago. And it was like, who would you take over CeeDee Lamb? And then nobody said Amon Ra, and I literally said Amon fucking Ra, Saint fucking Brown. like I am huge on
I
Amon
love
Ra.
I love your language right now. You're getting some points. The certainty is selling me.
And I almost said it to Matt when we were or actually just in that text thread. I almost said it. Like Matt and I talked about trading for Amon Ra last year, and I should have worked harder to make that happen, to get him in Dynasty, and I just didn't work hard enough to get it.
I got both Amon Ra and CD and Devontae.
And I know we're doing top 5, but I want to give a shout out to AJ Brown. I know he had a bad game last game, but he's had a great year. And he's my 6, and Lamb is my 7, by the way. I am high on Lamb. He's just not quite in 5. And then Diggs, Keenan Allen, and Kupp round out my top 10.
Keenan Allen just caught that. I mean, he just missed that beautiful pass to win the game.
But dude, look at his stats. He's over 1,000 yards for the year already. Like, this is Keenan Allen's best year that he's ever had.
Yeah,
like, I know he's old. He's old, bro. Like, he came out while we were in college. Like, I know he's old, but he looks great. Like, I know he dropped an easy touchdown. I saw the replay. It was bad. But Quentin Johnston's was worse, and Keenan Allen still went for 100 and a tud. So
Marquez Valdez-Scantling was worse than both of them, though.
That's definitely
okay. So after careful decisions here, I appreciate CJ appealing to my values and talking about Devontae Adams. I've, after many years of not being a Devontae fan, however, I am on the Devontae train, and I do believe he is still top 5. By the way, nobody throws him the ball, unfortunately. But we're talking about this year.
Yeah, you're talking about this year.
Talking about this year, and I'm gonna go ahead, and as much as I hate to do this, because CJ, I thought you did such a great job. I'm gonna give this one to Matt. So Matt now has 3 versus CJ's 2. Now, guys, I want to take a quick second. And introduce this sponsor. Our sponsor is Cutco, and look who hops on, Mr. Aliyah Watkins. Now, Aliyah, you are. We're playing a game called Sales, so you probably won't be good at this. However, the game, Eli, is that you have 2 minutes to really. It's like a Brazilian steakhouse, right? Like green, right? When it's done, it's red. You're done, right? And here's the deal: you have to sell me. I'm the judge, Judge Judy, Judge Dave, whatever you want to call me. Okay, I make the final decisions. You can try to appeal to my merchants. He did an incredible job of that last round. I just didn't. However, we're gonna kind of go around here. Okay, so right now, Matt is in the lead. Unfortunately, 3-2 against CJ and Eli. You're just playing for fun. If you come back, this is like a 28-3 moment for you. This is you don't really have a chance to win, but let's see if you're here. So, all right, let's dive in, guys.
Falcons. Matt is the Falcons right now.
Matt is the Falcons, and Eli is Gino. So all right. All right, guys. So here is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do bust or no bust. Okay. Now, as we play this game, right? This is a big debate, right? You got to take in rankings their draft order, their future, where they were projected, whether they're Pro Bowls, All-Stars, you see them being Hall of Fame. So this is the big debate. Thumbs up if they're a bust, thumbs down if they're not a bust. Everybody got the rules of the game. If somebody disagrees, you have to sell me on why. All right. So, number 1, Mac Jones. Bust or no bust? Okay, he's a bust. Got it. All right. Number 2, Quentin Johnston. Everybody said he's a bust. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Number 3, right? Number 3. Ooh, Najee Harris. bust. And Matt is frozen, unfortunately. It seems to me Matt is having communication. I think it's Eli's bad juju that does this for Matt, you said Najee Harris is a bust. All right. This is a go. And you ready? Bryce Young, bust, no bust. All right. Kyle Pitts, bust, no bust. Kyle Pitts, generational, bust, no bust. Oh, everybody said, okay. So all right, got it. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right. Kenny Pickett. Matt.
Oh,
Kenny Pickett, bust, no bust. Bust. Wow, I didn't think we were going to. Justin Fields, bust, no bust. Oh, now.
First agreement.
All right, perfect. Aliyah versus Christopher. The battle of the Baton Rouges. Okay. All right, I'm going to give CJ your time to shine. Ready, set, go. Sell the judge.
On why he's not a bust.
Correct.
So after a couple of weird games where they weren't letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields, he was just starting to catch on before he got hurt. And first game back in action, over 100 yards on the ground, 18 carries. They haven't let him be him most of the season. It kind of feels like Matt House in the way that they treat Harold Perkins and not letting him play to his strengths. And they're finally letting him do what he does best. And I know the Bears as a team had a catastrophic meltdown for the game. And, yes, great players find ways to win. But, I mean, the Bears have a lot of dysfunction just in general. But Justin Fields was looked phenomenal, just looking like allowing him to play the way that he's supposed to. He can throw the ball. He's got a good arm. And when they allow him to play to his strengths, he can really just take control of the game. We saw it last year. I know that they had a lot of losses, but I mean, he was so dynamic, and letting him get back to being him. He had 100 yards on the ground, almost 200 yards in the air. He looked good.
Should have won that game. I think that we're playing recency bias a little bit. So overall, you think he's doing enough not to be a bust. Perfect. Eli Watkins.
I mean, it's year 3 of the Justin Fields experiment. They brought in DJ Moore. They brought in a right tackle. And by the way, you still have Darnell Mooney, who's not as a wide receiver 2. I mean, you could do a lot worse. You got Khalil Hebert as the running back. You got Roshan. I mean, you have 3 running backs that are pretty good running back by committee. And then Justin Fields, I don't even care about his passing stats and stuff. It's he was supposed to be at least this rushing threat. You want to know how many times they've scored over 20 points? Twice. You want to know who they scored over 20 points to? The Commanders and the Raiders.
This year?
Yeah, this year, and they had 20 exactly against the Packers.
But how many of the games did he play? Because he's been hurt.
So. By the way, one of those games where they scored over 20 was against the Raiders when he didn't.
He scored over 20 against the Lions this week.
I know. Until this game, that's it.
I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So they score, and that's it. And by the way, so they've whooped up on the garbage franchises, and
he only played 4 games, right? Before he got hurt?
No, he played Packers, Buccaneers, Chiefs, Broncos, Commanders, and did he play against the Vikings? I think the Vikings is when he got injured.
So 2 out of 5.
Vikings is when he got injured.
So 3 out of 6.
So, and they don't score over 20. He doesn't look good. They bring in a wide receiver 1, and it's year 3. And his pass, and the problem is he's a 50% passer. He's completing 50% of his passes.
All right. Final verdict. Aliyah came in, data driven.
Yeah, you gave him time to look up stats.
That's part of the compare. He played home field advantage. I'm giving it up to Eli. Eli gets 1
that was smart.
That. Eli said, "I'm making up for lost time." He came in, and we call that drop the hammer. All right.
That's the hammer, and he just
that was the hammer. Hey, Hey, you scored on your first possession, Elijah. Let's make sure you're not the Kansas City Chiefs here. Okay, Kyler Murray, up, down, where you at? He was drafted number 1 overall. Is he a bust? Okay. Okay, Matt. Okay, yes, let's go. All right, the great debate, Matt versus Christopher. But here's the deal: Matt goes first this time. Ready, set, go.
So I'm gonna defend my guy. Y'all know I believed in him coming into the NFL. Both of you, Skip and Dave, both of y'all said that he shouldn't have been the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And I disagreed with you, and I'm going to stick to my ground. So now I know exactly what y'all are going to question me at while CJ goes scouring for his stats, and I won't have time for that. But I'm just going to tell you what I see in my eyes. And what I see with my eyes is since he had got back, 2 games now, right? That Cardinals team looks completely different. Like, they look like they're putting up points on the board. They're moving the ball up and down the field, and they actually look like someone who could be worth a damn. So, and I know Kyler, he's going to have those mental issues, and that's something that you have to worry about with the quarterback. So, and I do believe the reason that you can help, or the way that you can help Kyler with that, I should say, is you need to have a strong mental personality coach in the locker room with him. And I don't know if Jonathan Gannon is that. Cliff Kingsbury definitely was not. I mean, I don't think he is either, CJ. I see you shaking your head. But I'm just going to say that's what I believe Kyler does need to reach his true potential. But to say that he is a bust is no, he's not. He belongs as an NFL. He is an NFL starting quarterback. He can lead a team to a playoffs. Can he lead you to a Super Bowl? That's the conversation. Now, I don't know if he can lead you to a Super Bowl, but if he can be a franchise quarterback and you can win with him and he can consistently take you to the playoffs, I believe he can do that. He hasn't had the coaching around him. And yes, he's had talent. He has had talent. Coaching is one of the most important things in the NFL. Okay. So, all right, that's all I have to say. Kyler has all the talent in the world. He's not a bust.
Before CJ goes, I thought this meant that he's not a bust.
Yeah, bust, not a bust.
Both me and CJ both said he wasn't a bust.
Oh, well, I had it.
Matt just agreed that he wasn't a bust, yet you went like this, Matt.
Yeah, I meant that then. I thought it was Dave, right. You're the host. You should have caught that.
Listen, I'll let you. I'm going to deduct a point for Matt for disqualifying. So here
That's
is the
bullshit.
Listen, right now,
bullshit.
I was so confused that whole time.
Like, bad hosting.
CJ is at 2. Matt is at 2. Eli is at 1. It is a tight game.
That is bad hosting.
Jonathan Gannon a bust.
Yeah. So listen, it is a tight game. It is 2-2-1. Eli is back in it. Okay, Eli is back in it. All right. So, it's just like, we take away draft picks around here. All right. So here is the deal. All right. So Chase Young, bust, no bust. Woo, number 1. Okay, it is Eli versus Matt here. All right. The great debate battle of previous roommates. Let's go ahead and, by the way, quick story about Matt and Eli. They once had a date with the same girl, and Matt won. Right. So let's see. Let's see if Matt can win this battle versus Eli Watkins. Now, Eli, you go first. Matt, you have access to Twitter. Ready, set, go.
I mean, Chase Young was the number 2 overall pick, and he's had some injury issues, but when he's played, he's produced. This year, he's like top 5 in pressure percentage. I mean, every time when he plays, he gets pressure. He gets sacks. I mean, I don't know exactly what his sack total is. I can't look it up. But I mean, when he plays, he puts pressure on the quarterback. He looks like a number 2 overall pick. He looks like a top 10, probably even potentially top 5 future defensive end in the league. I mean, he dominates. First game with the 49ers on an actual good team with a good defense. He gets a sack and puts pressure on the quarterback the entire game. I mean, he's had a couple of injury issues, and that's it. Nick Bosa, guess what? Tore his ACL year 2. So
Marcus Davenport. That's what CJ said. Now, Matt, would you like to Matt, would you like to battle here?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was looking at stats, so I didn't see CJ, but I was literally going to bring up Marcus Davenport. Like, so, I mean, I hate to say this, but great minds think alike. Like, your best ability is to stay available, and Chase Young has not been available. I don't know shit about how many sacks he's had this year. I think he's only out. I mean, if he has to retire and they never like get to actually do anything with him,
is Andrew Luck a bust?
No, but I guarantee that they disagree. They don't like having him, or didn't like having him retire.
All right, we're getting into a whole new debate. I'm going to give the point to Matt, actually. Matt is back on top at 3. So the final rankings right now is Matt 3, CJ 2, Alaya 1. No, Matt. If you disobey the judge, I'm gonna take point. Okay, this is dictatorship at its finest. Okay, this is dictatorship at its.
Oh, he admits it.
All right. Thumbs up for Michael Thomas. Thumbs down for Odell Beckham. Who would you rather have in their prime? Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham. Ready, set, go. Oh, and it's Eli versus Christopher. All right. So here's the deal. Ready, set, go. CJ first.
That's BS. We agreed that it was supposed to be the opposite, but fine.
Okay. You know what? I appreciate your authenticity. Eli, please look up at the screen. Eli, please look up at the screen, or I've deducted a point. Eli, please go first. Stop looking. If you look down at the screen, I'm disqualifying your point. So look us in the eyes and sell the judge, please.
Okay. At least I know both key players pretty well. I mean, Odell Beckham at his peak was a very fun to watch player. He was an elite top wide receiver, but I don't know if Odell did Odell ever have a 1,700-yard season? Michael Thomas did. Michael Thomas also broke the record for the most catches of all time in a season. I mean, at his peak, Michael Thomas was wide receiver 1. At his peak, Odell Beckham was like wide receiver 3. Odell was never better than Antonio Brown. He was never better than Julio Jones. At his best, you could argue him at number 3 and maybe even a little bit lower if you put in some other guys like DeAndre Hopkins and stuff like that. I mean, Odell Beckham was super, super fun to watch, but pure talent, Michael Thomas was number 1. Odell was never number 1.
All right. Mike dropped. I love that argument. CJ, you're climbing up a big hill right here. Ready? Set, go.
So there's two reasons why I know I'm going to win. You started with he's fun to watch. Okay. And then the second thing, dang, I lost my second arguing point. So the whole fun to watch thing, we'll just start with that. You lost me there. Odell Beckham was more than fun to watch. Like his rookie year, he set rookie records that Justin Jefferson had to come in and compete with. He had 1,300 yards as a rookie, right? And by the way, as a Saints fan, I'm very aware of Michael Thomas's stats. And I also want to say it was a hard question. It was a very good question to bring into this debate because it took me a second to answer that. But I'm leaning towards Odell. Oh, here's the second arguing point. You want to talk about pure talent? Odell Beckham is one of the most naturally talented wide receivers and is so dynamic when he was at his prime. That's what we were talking about. Odell Beckham at his prime, I saw him at LSU and in the NFL, and what Odell Beckham brought to the table was special. And it sucks that it didn't work out long-term for him, some injuries and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But you want to talk about pure talent. And I have nothing but respect for Michael Thomas. I'm upset that he's hurt. He's going on IR. What he brings to the table as a leader, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I have nothing but respect. I was so phenomenal to watch him do what he did in 2019. But you want to talk about like what Odell Beckham brings to the table at his peak and like what he does to other defenses. Michael Thomas, what I love about him is that at his prime, you're going to him. It's almost like how Taysom Hill is for us right now, right? Like when you go to him, like he can't be stopped. But Odell Beckham is so much more dynamic. And when it was like that, it was the same for Odell Beckham,
Pause.
right? In a different way.
Matt, give me a 1 for Eli or a 2 for CJ. Ready, set, go. A 2 for CJ. All right. So here is where I'm at. I'm also as much as I loved the stats, I think saying he was a fun player disqualifies Eli.
Yeah.
I actually think that you won the argument, but I thought it was a little bit emotional. So I'm going to give it to CJ and his pure confidence.
You
Which
were a bit disrespectful.
He said, I know why I'm going to win. And he did. All right.
Yeah. Like, I do think you were a bit disrespectful.
CJ is 3, Matt with 3, Eli with 1.
Bro.
Let's see if we can.
Odell Beckham had 3 years over 1,200. His first 3 years.
1,300. 13, 14, 13. Don't undershoot it on purpose.
Michael Thomas had 1,700.
Slant boy, Carlton Davis got him. All right, let's move to the next one. All right, so
less of I won and more of you lost. That's really, it was less of me winning and more of you losing. You started weak.
Yeah, you the first time you started off with facts. This time you started off with emotion. You thought it would play out for you, and it didn't.
It did at all.
It did.
It really is.
I would recommend listen to the TED Talk. Start with why. If you want to really enhance that ability, right? It's by Simon Sinek. It's a great TED Talk. All right, let's move on, guys. Right now it is 3-3-1. Okay. Now, here is what we are going to do. The next series of questions is it's worth 2 points. And you have to pick your Heisman and tell me why. Each person has 2 minutes. Let me go ahead and go to my stuff right here. All right, each person has 2 minutes. Okay, you have 2 minutes to tell me your Heisman vote and sell me. Ready, set, go. Eli. 1 minute and 56 seconds remain.
All right. I'm not going to go with Jane Daniels just because I know that's what CJ and Dave and everybody else wants me to go with. But I'll go with Bo Nix. Okay. So here's why I'm going Bo Nix. Okay. At the end of the day, what do we judge MVPs? What do we judge Heismans on? We judge them on how do I deliver in big games. And every time Jaden Daniels has had a big game, they've lost. He puts up stats. He has great numbers. He has 8 touchdowns. But you know what? They lose. And guess what? What do we judge Justin Herbert on? Losing. He's a great quarterback. He has great talent. And you know what? In a better situation, he's my MVP. He's leading me to the Super Bowl. But the problem is he doesn't win. At the end of the day, when Jaden Daniels, does he just not win? Why doesn't he give me, if he's a Heisman winner, can he not just like take me on the last drive and score a touchdown? Where's our wins? Bo Nix, guess what? 6 touchdowns, wins the game. They've won multiple ranked games over and over and over again.
Matt, save the comments. Okay, Eli, are you done? All right.
I'm done.
Perfect. Okay.
I just want to make one comment.
Go ahead.
Bo Nix couldn't win in the SEC. He had to transfer to the Pac-12 to win.
Okay. And hold on. I am
your
the
entire argument. Go ahead.
Is it me? No, Matthew. Yep. Around the horn style.
Okay. So Bo Nix. Oh, okay, good. So Bo Nix literally he had to transfer to the Pac-12 to become a winner. So your entire little category that you just defined a Heisman for is completely irrelevant because he couldn't win in the SEC. Jaden Daniels is the Heisman winner right now. And y'all know this. I've kind of fuck with Jaden Daniels a little bit, and that's really just to mess with CJ. Jaden Daniels is the Heisman. It's the reason you said it yourself. You didn't want to make the easy answer, but then you said the dumb answer. But like, no, Jaden Daniels is the answer. There's no other answer right now. It's not Caleb Williams. It's not Michael Penix. I'm sorry. And then it is Jaden Daniels. He is making an argument to possibly be the number one quarterback taken in the draft. Like, and I think it will still be Caleb Williams, but like if Jaden Daniels has as good of an offseason as we all think he can, he could be like above JJ McCartney. He could be above Drake May. He could be that guy, especially coming away with the Heisman.
And right, just to be clear, if you look at the last like multiple Heisman winners, most of them had 3 losses. Just to be, yeah. I mean, like everybody had like 3 losses. CJ, wrap us up.
So a lot of the most important things have been said. Oregon's strength of schedule is ranked 63rd. LSU's is ranked number 1. You want to talk about winning when it counts? Their toughest game, they lost. Head-to-head, Michael Penix against Washington, they lost. Jaden Daniels has 46 total touchdowns. He's one of 11 players in the history of college football to throw for 3,000, to rush for 1,000. Every other person who's ever done that has won the Heisman. And RG3, 3 losses. I mean, all these numbers speak for themselves. He's number 1 in QBR. He's number 1 in every statistical category you can come up with. He's got 6 more total touchdowns than Bo Nix. He's got one less passing touchdown, but 6 more total touchdowns. He's got like 50 less passing yards, even though he has a harder strength of schedule to play against. And Jaden Daniels is one of the only reasons why LSU is relevant. They're comparing Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Neither one of them will be as good as them. Those 2 players help make Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow helped make them, but Jaden Daniels helps make Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. Kyron Lacey is one of the absolute worst wide receiver 3s in all of college football, and people actually believe he's draftable. He's not an NFL football player, just so you know. Jaden Daniels makes those players. I love Malik, and I do believe Malik's worth a first-round pick with or without Jaden. But I'm not so sure. So
you're up to 5. All right. So CJ is up to 5. Eli, you're number 1. And Matt, you are 3rd. Okay. Now, here is what we are going to do. The next thing I want to kind of discuss here. Okay. And so CJ is leading the way. CJ is leading the way. The next part is we're going to pick a player. Okay. We'll go thumbs up. I'll let you know. So if I say Joe Burrow, thumbs up, right down, obviously the other players. So I'll give you the instructions. However, once again, argument style. If we disagree, argue, and we'll have to sell me. So, all right, let's dive in. Who would you rather have for the next 3 years? Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Ready, set, go. All right. So we are going to go ahead and let Matt and Eli debate. So since they're in last place, and we'll go ahead and let Eli go first.
How did I get in last place?
In second to last place. But if you're not first, you're last, buddy. So.
And the reason he doesn't understand that is why he chose Lamar Jackson.
All right, Eli, take us away.
I mean, the resume speaks for themselves. Joe Burrow, year 2, takes a Cincinnati team that's floundering to the Super Bowl. I mean, first year he's healthy after his rookie year, and they're in the Super Bowl. I mean, this was a team that was picked to be last in the AFC North, wasn't even thought of as a playoff team, and now they're a perennial contender thanks to Joe. And Lamar has had a lot of great years with the Ravens, but the difference is he's never got him over the hump. His MVP year, they lost. He's lost to Joe over and over and over again in the playoffs. When it matters, Joe rises to the occasion and they win in the playoffs. They beat Patrick. He's He has a winning record against the greatest quarterback of our generation.
Mm.
Lamar can't say the same.
Matthew?
So I'm trying to find the specific numbers, but I can't. But you brought up a lot about health. That is a big word to throw around with Joe Burrow's name. That's a big word. Yeah, you can make that face. I think it was. I can't find the exact like number of games he's missed or the number of times he said. Oh wait, here we go. Luck was sacked 115 times in the first 4 seasons of his career. Joe Burrow has been hit 148. Now, we could probably throw Lamar Jackson's in there as well because I'm sure it's pretty high, but Lamar is built for that kind of stuff a little bit better than Joe. So if you want to talk about long-term, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. And also, he's my guy. Y'all know that. But Joe Burrow, I'm really worried about his future right now. They have one of the worst offensive lines. I'm not going to say that. Joe Burrow, he's getting hit a lot. He's getting hurt a lot. And every time he does get hurt, it's these big, serious injuries. So I worry about that long-term with his health. Lamar Jackson, he looks fine. He had a few injury scares, but before that, it was never an issue with him in the NFL. He's always been hit.
So here's what I want to do here because I'm a little. So first off, Lamar is actually 18-1 versus the Bengals, just to be clear. So that's pretty tough. Now, however, in the playoffs, it's a little bit different story. They haven't played each other in the playoffs, so that was inaccurate data. Now, Matt, what I don't like about yours is you talked about health, and then you went straight to sacks, which had nothing to really I didn't really see the pinnacle of your vision here.
Because he's had 3 times on IR.
He did, and I think both of them are.
That's what I was going with that. How did you not?
Okay, I got it. Right. So here's what we're gonna do. Matt's not gonna like this, but I'm actually gonna give it to Eli. So Eli, you get 1 point. CJ, you have 5. Matt, you have 3. All right. So who would you rather have as a franchise quarterback? You ready? Thumbs up for Justin Fields. Thumbs down for Kyler Murray. Ready, set, go. Justin Fields, Kyler Murray. All right. Perfect. Great job, guys. Who would you rather have as a quarterback? Will Levis, Jordan Love. Will Levis, Jordan Love. All right. Everybody got Will Levis. All right. Is Geno done? Yes. No. Ready, set, go. Okay, perfect. All right. Who creates more magic? Dobbs or Fitzpatrick?
Wow.
Oh.
Dobbs or Fitzpatrick? All right, cool. Is Sam Howell a franchise quarterback? Yes? No. Ooh. All right. So we're going to let Eli and Matt battle it out. All right. Ready, set, go. Let's go with Eli.
Okay. I mean, number one, Sam Howell's my guy. He's the guy I picked from that draft class. I love Sam Howell. I think he's actually had a pretty solid year behind a terrible offensive line. And in his first year, really, starting and taking the reins. But I think at the end of the day, when you talk about franchise guy, we're talking about locks. My team's never even thinking about drafting another quarterback. Like the Joe Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allen's. There's never questions if I have the number 1 overall pick, if I'm taking a QB. Like you think about like the Bears, and it's like if I have the number 1 overall pick, am I taking Caleb? If you're telling me if I'm the Commanders and I have the number 1 overall pick, I'm not looking at Drake May and Josh Allen. If you're my franchise guy, I'm not even looking at anybody else. I'm thinking, how can I surround you with the best talent possible? How can I trade back and get more pieces? How can I do X, Y, and Z? And I'm trying to boost you as our franchise quarterback. And I just think that at the end of the day, he's a great player. He's probably at least like top 20 and could move up. But for now, if I have the number 1 overall pick, I'm definitely considering somebody else, as much as I love Sam. And so I don't think that makes him, he's not a franchise guy. He's a good quarterback.
Matt?
Well, you're speaking completely from hypothetical because they don't have the number 1 overall pick. So they're not in that situation right now. So they're the very likely scenario that you're seeing teams take right now, and a lot of teams are doing it with the Falcons, the 49ers, and there's another one that I had on my head that I'm just blanking on, but they want to try to take the cheaper option at quarterback and build around the team, because then you can make your team really good, and then whenever you do find a way to slot that quarterback in, you can just take that giant step. So yeah, I think Sam Howell is good. I mean, do I think he's good or better than Caleb Williams? No. I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, he is really good quarterback. He's solid. He's shown enough. He's leading the NFL in passing yards right now. So like, I don't know what else you want from him. He's a 5th-round quarterback. He's cheap. He can build the team around him. Yes, of course. He's a franchise quarterback. Is he someone that, now there's a difference when you want to break it down even further, is what is a franchise quarterback? Is he someone that can lead you to a Super Bowl? We don't know that yet. But is he someone that looks like he can, belongs in the NFL and he belongs to be a starting quarterback? Hell yeah. So, I mean, yeah, and you're doing that with like not elite weapons around him. He has Terry, but like Jahan Dotson hasn't had the year we had hoped. Brian B. Rob has looked solid, but I don't really believe in him as an elite talent, so I think that's a lot of like coaching with Eric Bieniemy being behind them. So we'll see, especially if Eric leaves. That's a good question to have, because then we'll see like if the talent is really there or if it's more the coaching. But I do believe he's talent, like you said it himself. He's a dual threat quarterback, and that's what people want nowadays, is someone who can run and also pass the ball. And plus, like I said, he's cheap. So yeah, he's going to be the quarterback for the next few years.
Okay, CJ, what do you think? Who do you think won? I have my opinion. Do you go with Eli or do you go with the Matt?
So I agree with Matt. I said that Sam's a franchise quarterback. I thought Eli had. I like your arguing point, but I just think Matt's right, and I also think he had almost just as good as arguing points, if not just as good. And I just also think he's right. But I do like your arguing point, Eli.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and give that to Matt. Matt, right now you're 1 point away from CJ. Okay, here is the deal. Okay, let's go with comeback player of the year. Is it Dobbs or Hamlin? Who gets it? Ready, set, go. Dobbs or Hamlin? All right, easy one. Good. All right, next. Who would you rather have? Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins? For the next 3 years, Jared Goff, 3 years. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins. Ready, set, go. All right, perfect. All right. And then, who would you rather have for the next 2 years? Purdy, Russell Wilson. Both have their head coaches. Purdy, Russell Wilson. All right. Guys, as we start to wrap up here, I have one more question. This question will be ranked for 2 points. Okay? And we're going to pick an odd number. Rank your top 7 quarterbacks for the year of 2023 thus far. Ready, set, go.
Top 7?
Top 7. So Joe Burrow is out, right? He's hurt. This is worth 2 points. So Eli, you're playing for pride. Matt, you're playing for a victory. And CJ, you're playing for domination.
Dun, 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 dun. We
We
need to
need
have
some theme music.
waiting music.
Yeah, we will. Guys, this is our first one. Eli was late. He was supposed to make the music for us. However, it just didn't work out. So
God damn it, Eli.
yeah, he had to do a work meeting. What's more important than fantasy football and a little bit of podcast here, you know? So how's y'all fantasy teams doing? I'm gonna probably go to the playoffs. Hopefully, maybe not. We'll see.
I have 5 games. I'm okay, from worst to last, I'm 4-7, 5-6, 6-5, 6-5, and 8-3. That's where I'm at.
Well, I'm sorry for my fantasy league. I spent all the money, so they're gonna get IOUs. So that's
Well, I'm 11-0 in our league. So
in what league?
Jay Cutler 6.
Are you really?
Yeah.
When I'm in.
Are you 11-0?
11-0.
I haven't even heard about that. This is hot news.
11-0, sucker.
Matt doesn't want to jinx himself again after what happened last year.
Okay.
He's
All
gonna
right. So let's go with Matt. Who is in your top 7 and why?
be the 18-1 Patriots.
First. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
All
Just
right.
Start
so
off. Hey, emotions are out of it. You're playing for a victory. Let's go.
we're you said start
Just-
off at the
Just this year, absolutely. 1 through 7.
Dude, looking at this,
Okay.
it's weird. All right.
So number 1 for me is it's Jalen Hurts. So this one's kind of easy. He has the leading. He's leading the NFL. Twisted. He is leading the best team right now with a 8-1 record. My internet's unstable. Can y'all hear me?
And now, but I'm going to deduct points if that happens again. So go ahead, please.
Okay, so Jalen Hurts, like I said, number 1 quarterback. He's leading the best team in the NFL. He also going on number 2. I have let's see. I'm gonna give it to still Patrick Mahomes. Now, again, I'm gonna do this because we're going talking just talent, and also he hasn't really had maybe the statistical, standards this year that we kind of expect from him. But this is a guy that has literally no weapons around him, and we saw it last night with MVS, and they're still they're 7-3 now. So that's still top of the AFC. Maybe not like number 1, but they're one of the top teams in the AFC. Have a chance at number 1. So this is one of the best teams best quarterbacks we've ever seen. Number 3, I am gonna go Justin Herbert. We talked a little bit about Brandon Staley, and again, this is kind of going into the Patrick Mahomes of it all. He doesn't really have the weapons around him. A lot of them have gotten hurt this year. He obviously has Keenan, but Mike Williams got hurt. Gerald Everett has been in and out of the lineup. Austin Eckler's been in and out of the lineup. But he's still consistently put up points, and he's thrown. I don't have his yards in front of me, but I know he's doing pretty well this year. So number 4, I am going to go, this one kind of hurts me to say, honestly, but I'm doing it because of how good his team has been playing. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are killing it right now, man. I said it a little bit earlier. I kind of hate how good they are. He's not doing a lot. He's kind of playing, I guess, the Brock Purdy role almost, to where they're just telling him, look, don't fuck it up. But he's not, he's winning whenever they need him to, and they're making big plays, and they're pushing the ball down the field with CeeDee Lamb, and they're running the ball when they need to, and then the defense is deadly. So, number 5 right now. This one could be MVP winner right now. So he's a rookie, obviously, but he's a culture changer. We've talked about it multiple times on this podcast. Number 6, I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson, and number 7, actually, I'm gonna make a last minute switch. I'm gonna go number 6, Tua Tagovailoa, my guy that I mentioned earlier. I don't know why I put him at 7 to start, but he's leading one of the best offenses in the NFL, and I do believe they are one of the best teams. in the AFC, or at least one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC. All you got to do is sneak in. And if they get you, they're going to get you. And Lamar Jackson, again, winning. They're putting up offense. They're one of the best running teams in the NFL, but they're also doing it by passing the ball this year. We've seen Zay Flowers be incredible. He's also just lost Mark Andrews, but they're still he's making it do with Odell Beckham, and then Rashad Bateman has come on at times this year. So he's getting it done with his arm, but he's also getting it done with his legs. And I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for CJ Stroud and probably Tua, it's hard leaving him out, but it's my guy, so I had to put him in there.
Awesome. Love that. I can't believe you left out Derek Carr. And last but not least here, just so you know, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen both have the same touchdown to interception ratio. All right. CJ Marshall.
Really? I did not know that.
So check this out. Josh Allen, 22 touchdowns, 12 picks. Jalen Hurts, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks.
Oh, I did not know that.
Interesting stat. CJ.
So this is such a, like, when you think about like with the dynamic of the league, like with so many people out, from Kirk Cousins to Aaron Rodgers to Joe Burrow, obviously, like it's such a weird list to look at.
Eli, this is how you paint the picture. This is how you start with why, but thank you.
So I'm going to start with number one. I still think it's Pat. And I know it hasn't been the perfect year for Pat, but for any of us who are truly watching the game, we know why. When you watch Pat do what he does, it's very obvious why, despite the fact he doesn't have the weapons around him, why they still are 7-3 and have such a great record. Pat is still like that. Pat is still that guy. And we just, this is his world and we live in it to this day. Number two, I am just, maybe I'm appealing to Matt's merchant right now, but Lamar. I am such a big Lamar fan right now. And I think that there are some games where they just don't ask Lamar to do a lot because their team is so good. And I know they've dropped a couple of games, but I mean, there have been games where they've just absolutely curb stomped people and he only had to throw for like 150 yards and only like 20 or 30 rushing yards. Like he just didn't have to do a lot. And so there are some games where like his stats just aren't getting padded because of that. But like when, it's the Lamar clutch factor. Like we've seen it time and time again. I was the guy that was against Lamar and didn't believe in him, but every step of the way he's proven me wrong, and I'm giving him his due credit right now. I've been really impressed with Lamar. I'm going to slate Justin Herbert in the same slot that Matt did at number 3. Justin Herbert. I know Eli hates Justin Herbert, obviously thinks he's the worst. He can't win. He's Jaden Daniels in the NFL, aka he's the Heisman and probably the likely NFL MVP candidate. Number 4, Tua. And going into the season, I was also against Tua. I was just like, I don't know if he can overcome injuries. I just don't know if he can do it. So I'm going to give him his due credit right here too. What these guys are doing, I don't care if he has Tyreek Hill. Like, what they're doing is incredible, and he's finding ways to win and get them the ball. And anyway, 5, CJ. And I'm very excited to put CJ right there. Like, I mean, it's just the truth. Like, it's where we're at. Like, I'm a big CJ fan. I also
did through 3 picks this past Sunday, but go ahead.
I'm going to move on to the next one, which is Dak.
Still won though. They
did still win.
That is the important thing.
Tua hasn't beat a winning team in like 2 years, but we haven't talked about that. But go ahead.
It's next debate there, I guess. Dak is number 6. And if you actually look at his stats, so I have one league where Dak is actually my quarterback, and Dak's actually the QB6 in fantasy purposes. And funny enough, I put him at QB6, and he's consistently putting up like 200 to 300 yards and 2 tuds, very few turnovers. Turnovers are still there. It's like any other quarterback. He's not the most efficient guy of all time, but his efficiency is pretty solid across the board.
19-6 ratio, by the way. Pat Mahomes is 19-9 ratio.
And one thing, just Lamar's big fat problem this year is fumbles. Like he's got a few interceptions too, but his big problem is fumbles. So he fixes that. Like Ravens win every game, just like where the Ravens are at. But that's another. Anyway, Hurts 7. Hurts, it's been a down year for him in truth, but his down year is still pretty up. It's still pretty up. Shout out to honorable mention 1, Josh Allen. Shout out to honorable mention 2, Jared Goff.
Perfect. All right. So once again, I appreciate for whatever reason you left out Trevor Lawrence, who has 11 touchdowns and 6 picks, but he is the savior. All right, let's wrap it up with Eli. Can you at least compete? Go ahead.
So I started off with Jalen. Similar to Matt, I just think that, you got your number 1 QB on the number 1 team. And I think the difference between like him and Lamar is I disagree with CJ. He has delivered in the big games when they've needed him. I know it's the Commanders, but like they almost lost to the Commanders and he put up 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, and won them the game at the end. Like there's been times where he's had to be the game manager. He didn't light up the Chiefs, but he won the game. And there's been times where he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot and he's done it. And there's been times where he's been asked to win the game and he's gone out and won the game. And he's my MVP right now. I think he's the number 1 QB. And he's, by the way, the thing I find even more impressive is he's done it all on a bum knee the past few weeks. Like we took away his number 1 thing, which was rushing, and he's been lighting up teams with his arm, which has been really cool. Like just to watch him, kind of move, kind of like last year Mahomes did with just 1 ankle. Speaking of Mahomes, number 2, my number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. I think that, I think it's tough to ignore that. I know that his team has been, this is his worst statistical year, his worst, so far year in terms of, just like team success and kind of like it's been a little bit down. So that's why I have him at number 2. But I mean, the fact that they're winning is still a testament to him. I mean, they have no pieces on offense. Their running backs, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco's definitely kind of surprised me. He's pretty good, but he's not a game changer. Their offensive line, their tackles are absolutely atrocious. Their receivers suck outside of Travis Kelce, and he just makes plays. He puts them in a position. He has thrown a few interceptions, but truthfully, he doesn't often put them in bad positions. He wins them games. He's been a game manager when needed. He's won them games. And if he had better receivers, he'd be number 1. Number 3, I put him a little bit higher than both of you guys. But Tua. I mean, I know he's got a few bad games. I know he hasn't won those games, but he did. I mean, he came out and he crushed the Chiefs in the second half. He has absolutely lit up the league. And kind of like CJ, I came into this year and I wasn't a huge believer. I didn't know if he could stay healthy. I didn't know if he could do it again. And he's dominating. He's an accurate passer. He gets it to his guys where they need to be able to continue to run and make plays. And he's a great point guard. Number 4, I got Josh Allen. Josh Allen gets way too much hate for his interceptions. I looked at a stat the other day. If you look at Josh Allen's interceptions, 5 of them aren't even his fault. 2 of them bounced.
Right now, Josh Allen's the number 8th ranked quarterback in the NFL as far as QBR. Just throwing it out there. You know who number 7 is? So right now it's Purdy, Tua, then it's Russell Wilson, Dak, Lamar, Justin, CJ, Josh with QBR.
Yeah. And Josh, for PFF, I saw the other day was number 1 in the AFC. But Josh, I mean, like I saw a stat out of his, I think he has 8 or 9 interceptions. 5 of them weren't even were unnecessary. Like 2 were bounced off a receiver's hands and 3 were on like 3rd down when he launched it 50 yards down the field. That's a punt. It's just a punt. I mean, does it count as an interception? Yeah, but it might as well have just been a punt. It doesn't matter. So he's had a couple of those issues, but he keeps them in games. He's at any point he can change the field. I mean, he leads the league in touchdowns. He's still dominating. So the only difference in their team, their defense isn't as good. It has been one of the biggest issues is their defense is not what they used to be.
Who's your number 5?
Number 5 is Jared Goff. I mean, he's a great point guard. Everything I said about Tua, I could say about him, but he's won even more games. I mean, it was even hard to put him at 5. I considered putting him higher. He's crushing it. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He gets the ball to his playmakers. I mean, he's on fire. As much as I don't like him, he's crushing it. CJ, and then I got CJ Stroud, number 6. CJ's obviously been balling. I know he had 3 interceptions, but he's winning games. We talked about, you said Justin Herbert has nobody to throw to. Justin Herbert has Keenan Allen. He's only not had Mike Williams for 2 games. And CJ Stroud's thrown to Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So behind a garbage O-line. And then at number 7, I got Lamar Jackson. Lamar has been good, but when he's been asked to win, he did fumble in the 4th quarter one time. There's been a couple of miscues, and that's why I put him at number 7. Ultimately, he's leading a winning squad. He's putting up good numbers, so he makes it my top 7. My honorable mention was Dak.
Cool, guys. And the verdict is in. And I will say the winner of today's podcast is Matthew Bartholomew. Let's give Matt some round of applause.
By the way, Eli, you should not be allowed back on this podcast. You didn't have Justin Herbert in your top 7.
And here was the winning factor for me.
Herbert's like 3 and 6.
Here was the winning factor. I thought Matt's list showed humility by putting Lamar Jackson number 7. I thought he was vulnerable, had humility. Truthfully, my big thing was this. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFL this year. This year, right now. And I'm a big believer in Pat Mahomes. I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. But this year, Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Right now, he's the best player in the NFL as far as quarterback position. Pat Mahomes, number 2. I loved your love for Dak. I am not a Dak fan, but Dak is playing lights out. And then Lamar Jackson, number 7. I really appreciate that. Where I disagree with CJ is Hurts being number 7. I think CJ, you would have won if you had Hurts in your top 5. However, this is the judges' game. And anyway, so stats don't matter. This is about my emotions and my opinions. And I am going to give this to Matt. Matt, you are the reigning champ. Okay.
Hey, how many points did he have going into this? I thought I was up by like 5.
CJ, you had 5. Matt had 5. We'll deduct 1. He had 4, right? And then Eli had 2. Eli was a great comeback. And at the very end here, Matt snuck it out. And
it's all right, CJ. You lost to me in fantasy. You're gonna lose to me here too. It's all right.
Can't wait for you to come out.
With that being said, guys, next week's edition will have some fun things with Marvel as well. So make sure everybody sees the Marvels so we can debate. And if you haven't seen it. If you have not seen it, CJ has not seen it, so he is not allowed. I was going to bring that in today, but I couldn't. I had a theme, and I can't do it. There may or may not be comparing football players to Marvel heroes. All right, so here is what we is going to be fun, okay, next week. Guys, thank you for your time. Matt, you are the John Cena of this podcast. You are the Rock, the people's champ. They can't see you. Congratulations.